Recently, I discovered something about myself. A fear that I always knew about without ever being able to express it. And it all happened in I want to say, innocent moment. Early morning has always been my favorite time of day. I like to go out first thing after getting up, especially now in the summer. I am a very visual person, and that's why I like the mild rays of the morning sun, under which everything blends into each other instead of parting in harsh contrasts. It's quite windy today. It's still a beautiful morning. When nothing obstructs the view, my soul dares to come out and becomes one with the environment. Then it brushes the ears of corn with the wind and dances with the bees from blossom to blossom. And at that moment I asked myself, why is it that only in this mood you can be truly at peace? And as I looked back to the houses, it struck me, because everyone else is asleep. No car hums busyness. There is no one you must compete with, who's making their dreams come true while you're building castles in the sky. No one is making progress while you stagnate, or takes away an opportunity you should have seized. Everyone is asleep. The communist utopia of an equal and happy society has never seemed credible to me, and maybe that proves my skeptical view of human nature. We are competitive beings, and so am I, except in the peaceful minutes of the morning. Or am I unjustly inferring from myself to others? My mother likes to tell stories about me as a child, and let's put it this way: losing wasn't exactly my strength. But am I destined to view everything through the lens of competition? People can change, right? Do you think that I can cope with losses well?
No.
Do you think that I have made progress with my ability to cope with losses? Because in the past I've talked about that it is my intention to get better at this, but do you think that has actually happened?
A little bit, yeah, I think so. Not always, like sometimes it's still that you're angry with yourself and you're not in a good mood after you lose. But in some games it's definitely better, I think. Although in the last weeks you won a lot, so I cannot really compare different situations where you lost, so it's difficult to say how it was.
I would love to have a magic scale that tells me exactly how much of this drive to competition is your innate nature, and how much of it is a learned habit that I got from the influence of others, or society as a whole, if you will. Because if I reflect back on my past, then I can clearly point to different times when I had the impression that others expect me to make a big career, whatever that means. And they meant it as a compliment. Because of that, I adopted this attitude as a self-image. And that led me to study law, at least for a while, until I realized that's not that fulfilling to you. Then I quit law, but that didn't free me from the compulsion to view everything as a contest. But what if the competition is only in my heart? Or don't I live in a city of permanent challenge after all? Berlin is a place where self-expression always has something provocative about it. If you speak the language of competition, you recognize it everywhere, and I speak it fluently, even if I don't want to. Forget the logos of expensive handbags or the howling of engines. Gestures of status take on countless shapes. The more understated, the more convincing. Have you ever had to acknowledge the aristocracy of an elegant lettering? The self-assured carelessness of a laughter that doesn't know any existential fears? Since always I have been attracted to the places of higher society, the theaters, philharmonic halls, or restaurants to which only happy coincidences and invitations have led me. But I have never been able to enjoy them carefree, only with the feeling that I get a glimpse of the life that I must achieve. But I begin to doubt whether it really brings the salvation promised by the shine of golden watches and sparkling drinks. There's this really insidious thing about this competition mindset. Not only does it entail hostility towards others, which is bad in itself, but at the same time, one is directing hostility towards oneself. And this is because subconsciously there's this urge to judge everything in terms of its effect on status. And the assumption is that something is only good if it elevates me above others. I think you can clearly see that this attitude has several negative impacts. It doesn't allow for real growth, because it doesn't allow failure, because failure would lower my perceived competence. And although I'm forced to judge everything, it actually distorts my judgment, especially the judgment of my own effort, because all my efforts get reduced to a result that I have to compare against others. And all that because we strive for greatness. We want to shine so brightly that no one can doubt our majesty. But what we don't know is that by humiliating others, we're actually humiliating ourselves. And this is quite a lonely road that I've walked for too long. And I don't want to walk it any longer. And one day I may see through the emptiness of my hope that I cannot find peace in conquering the world. But until then, maybe I will try it one more time. I mean, eventually they will have to realize that I am a person worthy of respect and love. Just one more win will prove them wrong, or one more argument they cannot refute, one accolade that demonstrates it. They will be foaming at the mouth with greed. And when I then pull up in a fancy car, what if I learn to speak Japanese? That's cool, right? And impressive, very impressive. And then I guess I could watch Dragon Ball in the original language.